because I gotta tell you, we talked earlier about, are you ready to shift into high gear? Move your stuff around a little bit or get started to supersize your real estate business. So reimagine a recession-resistant real estate business that will quickly build massive portfolios. That's what you're looking for, the numbers, while helping others. It's all about shared housing, but it's also about the who. We've had Tiffani in before. Tiffani actually is co-chair of Real Estate Investors Association of Greater Cincinnati of Shared Housing. She does their focus group. She's also the president of Real Estate Investors of Greater Cincinnati. She's also a housing provider, right? One of the housing providers professionals. And she came in years ago as working decades in Key Bank, teaching us all short sales. So she is the bankruptcy expert, she is the VIP default mortgage expert, but most of all, she is the shared housing expert. Let me introduce to you Tiffani Ray. Yay! Turn you on.
Sounds about like me. I have a big mouth, so please turn. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I want them to leave with their eardrums.
Just talk.
Just talk. Okay. So testing. So you'll keep adjusting. Fantastic. I appreciate that. So everybody, picture this: credit card utilization at an all-time high. People deciding whether or not they're going to buy groceries or whether or not they're going to actually get gas. That's a real thing. And let's not mention AI. AI might be coming for your job. It's in everything when you log on. Copilot, hey, nice to meet you. ChatGTP, all of these different things, right? So, did you know? I'm just going to skip the tariff thing because we really don't know what's happening with that. We go to Sheen, there's tariff, there's not tariff, these kinds of things. But over 600,000 people sleeping homeless in the night. I think that's a very, very large number. So how many of you, by show of hands, know anybody who may have recently lost a job? It's real. How about shared housing? Who knows anything about that? Heard of the terminology before? Maybe co-living. We'll go over a few of these things. But this, as Barb said, recession resistant. It is a way to 2, 3, 4, 5x your particular house that you may have right now in your existing portfolio, or maybe that new house that you're looking for. Also, it transforms lives and your bottom line, so you get to do good and you get to do well. Hello, my name is Tiffani Ray, and I am the REIA president, as she said, of Cincinnati. I also have been a housing provider for over 33 years. I've worked with U.S. Bank and many banks, let me just put it like that, for over 33 years, senior vice president of default mortgage servicing. So that means I know default mortgage, that's loss amid bankruptcy, foreclosure, REO, and the like. And I was here actually 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, and I spoke about, was it 2 years? Yeah, I was thinking, when I drove up, I don't know this place, so this is a different place, because I thought it was the other place, so we had to put our GPS in, got a little lost, but that's okay. And I was talking about short sales, something that is going to come back again, so if you have that, just take that and refresh on it, because it's coming again. But right now, what I'm all about is shared housing. And we'll talk a little bit about definitions for that very shortly. So ready your pen. So, agenda for today, why shared housing now, how to find it, fix it, fill it, how to get paid, how to scale it more. And I have a lot of information to share. So if I go very fast, somebody just raise your hand, and I like questions, so I will pause and make sure that everybody got a chance to digest the material. So I like for this to be interactive. I don't want to keep talking to you all out here. I want you all to participate, okay? All right, so what's next? Definition. Let's go over this. Nomenclature. That's a big deal to me. So when I say shared housing, what I need you guys to think about is the top of the pyramid up here. Everything up here is shared housing. So you might hear about co-living or BTR, which is by the room. You might also hear about boommates. You might hear about roommates. You might hear about residential assisted living and all these things. So all of those, in my mind, are tentacles of shared housing. So shared housing at the top. So for purposes of discussion this evening, when I say shared housing, I'm encompassing all of it, group homes, unlicensed and licensed. So don't get hung up on nomenclature, which is what most people do. They go, oh, I'm in a group home. They don't understand. Oops, look at me. They don't understand what any of that is about. So all of these things matter, but they're all under shared housing. So if you have a particular question about any of the models, please ask me and I'll share whatever I can. Am I in your way? I think I am. Sorry. No. Okay, this is traditional what we think about when we see shared housing. The Golden Girls, Marge and Blanche and all of them. Some of you might be too young to, so if you are, I'm dating myself, sorry. I remember the Golden Girls, but it really is still a thing. If you see this slide right here, it tells you why you want to join them. And this is a recent, relatively recent 2024 slide. So roommates, and Golden Girls is still a thing, even from back in the 70s, I think it was. Anyway, Mythbuster number 1, no license is required. People get stuck on that. I want to start shared housing, but do I need a license? No, you don't. Or in real estate, we have this phrase that says, it depends. So it depends on what it is that you want to do. Somebody laughed because you know that to be the truth. We always talk about it depends in real estate. If you are looking to start a licensed, where you have to have so many hours per week. So example, I can talk, real estate, assisted living, a group home for Ohio mental health, additional addictions and disabilities. Those are governed. Anything governed by the state where you get a license from Ohio, since we're in Ohio, or a license from the health department, those have to be licensed. Sober living, which is now recovery housing, so they're renaming that. All of those require a license. But for you to start an actual shared living by the room or a co-living facility, no license is required. Picture this. You all, yes?
So question.
Yeah, go.
So with the co-living.
Yep.
Compared to
Wait.
group home.
I don't see a mic. We have a mic runner?
Yeah.
By chance, a pass a router or something? Cool. Hang tight, Sandy.
Okay, so for the co-living versus like the group home.
Yep.
Because you're saying those need to be regulated.
Mm-hmm.
Is the co-living still, something that you can utilize to help different populations?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but since you asked, let me just chime in right there. So when I say co-living, it just means cooperative living, so people living together in the same home. You've heard of short-term rentals like STR, I call it BTR, so it's by the room. So basically, you're just renting by the room, and that's all co-living is. I think that it is an upscale name for rent by the room. That's what co-living really is. So when you hear people talk about it, 9 times out of 10, they're talking about a specific population, and usually that might be the professional renter. And they, for whatever reason, might be a midterm rental. And if I have a jargon flag, you guys ask me to explain, because I'll talk a lot of real estate stuff here, so I don't mind you interrupting me. But they will have a short-term or a midterm renter, or they might be renting to a college student, or they might be renting to a nurse, but that assignment happens to be longer than what it would be for a short-term or a professional. Did I answer your question?
Kind of, but I'm gonna wait till you get to.
Okay, throw them out, I love them. Did I get to that? We were talking about this new order that was just signed by Trump. And in some of our areas, they already had an order to make it very easy to move homeless people out of their space. And this is a order on top of an order that just came out. Yep, exactly. And so what it does is it makes it easier for law enforcement and the like to move people out of under the bridge or under the tent. And so where will all these people go? If you've looked at your shelters recently, those are full. They're absolutely full to the gills. There's no place for them to go, but we want them off the street. So the next place is for them maybe to be jailed or maybe for them to be sent somewhere. And we don't want that to happen to all of our people that just have an issue. We want to have a solution that is safe, affordable, attainable, and a quality place for them to lay their head, and that is what shared housing is all about. Did you guys know that there was a voucher issue, over 60,000 of them at risk? That's huge. We're not even just talking about what is happening in the environment where the, what are y'all doing over here? Where the actual voucher has term limits. So they're talking about making the term limits for vouchers already. This is a whole nother arm of the program where we're talking about we're gonna cut these vouchers out altogether. So guess what? People are still gonna have to decide, do I try to use my rent, or pay rent, or do I buy groceries, or do I buy gas, or do I get a new backpack for my kids who just started school, or maybe they are gonna wear the same old ugly gym shoes and be talked about. So there's some tough choices to be made out here in the environment that we're currently in, guys. And of course, shared housing is a solution to a lot of that. Just another glaring picture of what is happening and why I think this is the emergence of shared housing. So question, do we think that shared housing is a viable solution for today's real estate market? Yes, for a lot of reasons, rising costs. But the biggest one that I like is the urban density. So when we look around, and we're all majority real estate investors here, we know that there's not a lot of inventory. And even if there is, some of it is old and dilapidated, and either the city has it or maybe some port authority has it and they don't want you to do anything with it, or we have institutional investors that are holding on to property and they are not letting it go despite our own efforts as, I would say mom and pop, but I'd like to rephrase that to boutique investors to actually make a difference in the environment. Shared housing is a solution for some of that. Okay, so I had an actual poll up because I did a questionnaire on a meeting that I was at before. And so this is where I need a little bit of audience participation. So is there anybody in the room yet that has anything to do with shared housing? One person, okay. Two, well, I know you in the back, Bill, has something to do with shared housing. That's Bill, and he's my insurance guy, and I ask him all the hard questions for 7-8 years, and he keeps me out of danger, so I'm happy to see him everywhere I go. Hi, Bill. What about just regular homeowners? So rental housing providers? Okay, majority of the room. Okay, everybody else, I know there's some new prospects in here, but people who are looking for a long-term play that just want to build generational wealth? Okay, I should see a bunch of hands for that one. Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't ask for, like, say I asked for hands, so I'm expected to see them. Okay, and what about just income? People that just want regular income. Okay, so what we're gonna talk about is how shared housing works for that. Traditional investment model, buy and hold, you rent to a family. Now don't get all alarmed about the numbers. Maybe your rent is not $2,000 here, but understand, I talk to people across the United States, so I get an average. So $2,000, maybe it's $1,500 here. Okay, your all-in cost, $1,500, net profits about $300, $300 to $500, if we're lucky. I have some of those still, been a housing provider for 30 some odd years. Your wholesale fix and flip, you might make $10,000 or more. Some of us are really good at it. Some of us suck at it and we lose money, and that's why we don't do wholesaling or fix and flips anymore. And then your Airbnb, where you might make $1,500 or more. And if you do a niche place, then maybe you make more than that. Shared housing model, highest cash flow, buy the room, $1,000 or more a month. Group homes, $3,000. Residential assisted living, $5,000. And those are just averages. So, true or false? True. Shared housing can generate more income. High yield, recession resistant, wildly scalable, and we will talk about that. Mission driven for me. Doesn't have to be a passion for people. Some people do it just for the money. Others do it for other reasons. I think people first, then things. Why the opportunity? Move out of homelessness faster. Help more people, reduce housing, shared responsibilities. Oh yeah, we talked about that, food and those responsibilities that people have that they might not be able to meet their needs. Shared housing helps that. This is one of my homes that is rent by the room. It's a ladies' house, the only ladies' house that I have. But basically I have 7 residents, and right now the rent is $650 per month. So I would consider relatively affordable for their room. They share the common space. As you can see the numbers, I do have a management fee. That management fee is just that somebody does my walkthrough. But instead of my net being 300 to 500, this particular building actually nets 1,000. And I put profit reserves because I want for people to realize that in this business you do need reserves. But if you've been established over a long period of time, you don't have to do reserves the same way. So I put profit reserves because I want people to understand that that is very, very important, because accidents do happen. Ask me how I know. Can we say sewer that needed to go all the way out to the line, all the way out to the street? Yeah, we had some of that went on this year, and amongst other things that I don't want to describe. Housing First, have you guys heard about this before? So Housing First is a program that says that even over food, people need shelter. They need shelter to think, they need shelter to be safe, they need shelter to get along. So this was established shortly after COVID because of all the incidents of people being by themselves. And basically what it says is that in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we learned this in elementary school, right? Just bring some of us back. Well, maybe some of you young guys didn't. I don't know what they teach you guys anymore, but we did. And safety was number 2. So they always said, we need food and we need water. But it's the shelter things that they're starting to notice that makes a difference in the lives of people. So even on the food on the needs prong, safety, which is housing, which is what we're talking about, happens to be very big on our needs assessment. So everybody deserves quality housing, and we, as real estate investors with shared housing, can help them to get there. Oh, by the way, we were talking about all these different types of shared housing. So this one I found to be very interesting. It's called co-housing, not co-living. And it's because what happened is a group of people decided to get together, like all of us. Like maybe we decided to have a real estate investor co-housing association. And basically it's not legal, so we don't own each other's house or a piece of it or share deeds or anything. But basically what we do is get a community together and we decide to share our resources. We decide to share our common space. I thought this was interesting because shared housing is taking over in many different ways, and I want for you guys to be educated on what those ways are. Those are some benefits, but I thought this was even better. They actually have a site. You actually can go and find a co-housing facility and decide if that's someplace that you want to live, learn about it, and people are actually doing this. They're coming off the grid, they're going to move to these places, and they are forming co-housing facilities. So I thought that was interesting. This one is even, nope, not that one. Where's my other one? Did I not put it in here? Maybe I did. Okay, I'm gonna keep on my own thing because I'm gonna trust the process. How do you find a house? So we talked about finding it, fixing it, filling it. How do you find a house? Personally for me, I found them on the MLS. I found them from wholesalers, because anybody that's a wholesaler that's in here, I want to be on your list, in particular if I'm in your area, because I don't want to have to go look for all of the stuff. Realtor partners, but most of all, I found them from my RIA community. You guys always are finding some other stuff, or you have houses that you could repurpose. Maybe there's a home, you don't want the renter and you've rented it for a long time, or maybe there's an apartment building or a 2-family that you have and you want to try your hand at shared housing. Shared housing works great in 2 families. It works great in anything that is 3-room and above, and I'll tell you why shortly. Oh yeah, and don't forget commercial. I think I had a conversation with Sandy and we talked about the potential of a commercial site. So when I think of commercial, anything over 4 units, that could also be a church, that could also be a hotel motel, it could also be a school. So don't limit yourself in your thinking that this just could be a house. There's so much more out there that we could utilize for shared living or shared housing opportunity. And then how do you fund it? So this is the fun part for me, because I think finding the houses are really easy. I go on our Fridays, have the ones, and I'll say, hey, my name is Tiffany and I'm looking for shared housing. Anybody have any 3, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms or beyond, and blah, 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 right? And so everybody knows what it is that I do. It's the 60-second elevator speech. And then you don't have to do it anymore after you do it a couple of times. People just start coming to you with, hey, I have an opportunity for you. Hey, I have an opportunity. But as soon as you get the opportunity, it's like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to go to the bank and get a loan. It takes forever. I know I was a banker for 30 some odd years. Remember we said that. So you can do seller financing or traditional purchase. That's, bankable, W-2, whatever. Or if have been lucky enough or blessed enough to step away from that, then you need some other creative options. And so business line of credit is one of them. I've utilized those before, guys. Sidebar, do not sleep on business credit. If you don't know anything about it, find something about it. Here's a shameless plug. I've got a free course out there. If you go to tiffanyray.com, you can sign up for it. It's got all the 3 different tiers out there. There's a verbiage and it's assisted by video. It's free. I want everybody to learn about it. So shameless plug. Now back to the presentation. Subject to equity share and partnering. And oh yeah, let's talk about hard money for a second. So somebody asked me a question when I was talking to them in the room earlier. They were like, you do creative deals with this stuff? I was like, yeah. I think the last 5 homes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I've set up have been from hard money and private financing. I haven't been to a bank in probably 4 years. And so somebody had asked earlier, who is the furthest person here? Shout out to my personal hard money lender, John Hayes in the house. He came to support me from Louisville. Yay. And he makes a part of what I do personal. And he understands, he's attached to the vision, and he understands what I do. So he's been my front end guy. And then of course, there are other people who don't want anything to do with tenants and toilets. And so they just want to invest. And so who am I to say that everybody can't make money in this business? I have private lenders that have worked with me, the same group of guys for the past 5 years. And they even wrote, I have a thing in here that they even wrote, oh my God, Tiffany's great, blah, 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 blah. But what I'm saying to you is that you don't have to participate and have a home. You don't have to participate and be a housing manager. You can participate in this and just be a lender or participate in the JV of some sort. So you can enter at many different ways and it's still a great money-making opportunity.
Wait a minute, question?
Absolutely.
Anna, you're gonna have to move. Sorry.
Can you yell?
Yeah. No, because we're zooming.
Are you going to be getting into student housing specifically near universities?
I can talk about it. What's your question?
Well, my question is, would you do that kind of housing when like there's 3 months out of the year when you might not even rent the house? Is that more profitable than just getting a family in there that's going to rent it year round? Well, and then my other question is, do you have to, when you have like 4 students in a house, do you have to deal with roommated, like people that don't get along and all these headaches that you don't want to deal with and stuff like that?
Okay, so let's start with the first question. And so remember earlier when I said we have this thing in real estate that says it depends? So it depends. So if I were going to do student housing, which I have not, but I know several people that have, the beauty of student housing is you can make the lease to be and look like whatever you want it to be. So if I were to do it, my lease would be a 12-month lease, period. I'm not gonna stop at 9 months. I'm not gonna decide what to do with those 3 months to see if I can turn it into a short-term rental and have somebody clean it and market it and be ready, unless there was a specific thing going on in your area that garnered the population that in June or July that could actually fill that home and you could make that money. Say you had a festival that came every June, and so you knew that if you rented for that festival, you would make more or just as much without the opportunity of the students being there. Otherwise, if it were me personally, my lease would be a 12 months. It could be 9 months, but it would be the amount of 12 months so that I didn't have to worry about that overflow. And with respect to it, I think I lost the name tag. Oh, it went over here somewhere. So we're just gonna set that sucker right there. You guys know I'm Tiffany. So if there was a student housing, and you're gonna need this with any rent by the room, any shared housing, whether it's licensed or not, you need a roommate agreement. Okay, so you're gonna, the beauty of this thing is, my guys, listen here, your house, your rules. For example, we'll get into some of them, but I have one that says no smoking, no vaping, no marijuana, no incense, no nothing lit A lot of people don't like that, but if it's a deal breaker and you don't wanna live here, then I invite you not to live in my place and find somebody else where you can live there, because my house, my rules. But your rules, roommate agreement will be the governing force, and then of course your house rules, and then of course over top of that is your lease, if you use one, your licensing agreement, if you choose that over a lease, or a subscription that you might choose over either of those two. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, yes ma'am.
So you mentioned.
Wait.
Y'all should read my computer.
So you mentioned a lease.
Yep.
In shared housing, do you necessarily have to have a lease?
Oh, you better have a
Oh, you do?
something.
Okay.
Okay, so, you don't have to have a lease, but you have to have a governing document. And so to me, there's 3 prongs to that governing document. And so it starts with, if you're gonna have roommates, it starts with the roommate agreement first. So that's gonna say how they're gonna treat each other's things in the house. Then you're gonna have your house rules, which are your do's and don'ts. You do not have company, you do not use your place for business, you do not smoke, you do not have pets, or you do have pets, or quiet hours or this, or whatever. And then on top of that, it's how you're gonna get paid. So you can choose to have a lease. I personally don't use them. You can use a residential rental agreement. I love those. Or you can use a licensing agreement. I started with that. And you kind of learn your resident population and you shift your governing document to that.
Okay, so if they violate the rules, do you still have to go through an eviction process? Or is it because it's a special?
Well, it depends.
Okay.
So this is real estate, and that's gonna be my answer for a lot of things. So so the question on the table is, if they violate the rules, do you have to go through eviction? I've been doing this 5 years and I filed 1. So in my clause, my rules say, if you do these things, this will happen. So either there's a fine that's attached to it, or there's an absolute deal breaker. If you fight, you leave. If you set something on fire, you leave. If you have company, so I have these, they're like a conduct or behavioral or other, and so you can assess fines, you can give them 3 chances, you can give them 1 chance, you can give them no chances. And so if they violate the rules, because they have a license to use your place, not a lease, which is why I don't use them anymore, because it's in a residential agreement, which is what I'm using, then if they don't leave, like I didn't pay the rent, well then you're criminally trespassing, and that's what you use, and you call the police, and 9 times out of 10, they escort them happily off your property. I have one lady's house, which I only have 1 now. I offered her cash for keys, which is a default strategy from the bank, and it wasn't a whole lot. It was $150, and the ride. You really need to leave. Her and the lady got into it, and she ended up macing her and all this kind of stuff, and the person wanted to call the police. And instead of her getting a record or getting arrested or whatever, I just offered her cash for keys. I offered her $150, which got her to the place she needed to be, and I gave her a ride in my truck. You need to leave now. And so usually there's circumstances behind why people leave, and they know they're in the wrong. And then, what'll happen is you'll have a house full of people that don't want the person there that actually offended, and they will gang up on the person, and the person leaves anyway without you having to do anything. Hey, you're not welcome here, we don't want you here, and they make it very tough. It's hard to be in the house with 6 other guys when the 6 other guys don't want you there anymore. You have a tendency to not want to stay in your room forever, and if you can't share the common spaces, they just kind of evict them for you, and that has happened for me too. Yes, sir.
Okay, so along those lines,
Yep.
One of the reasons I have never gotten into shared housing is because I'm thinking, all right, if I have any part in who goes in there, right?
Mhm.
So I'm picking the people that go in
That's
there.
right.
And now 2 of them get into a fight, the one kills the other one.
Oh, no.
Now it comes back on me because I picked all these
No,
people.
absolutely not. So you have so this is what I'm gonna say to you. And then I see my insurance guy back there shaking his head. See, so out of these big eyes, I can see peripheral vision. But this is what I'm gonna say. If you have an apartment building and you qualify, so all of your qualifications are standard, right, guys? So you're gonna qualify everybody the same. If you have a background check, you get it on everybody. If you make them have pay stubs, you get it on everybody. If you make them do all these things, your rental criteria is standard, period. And you do it from a fair housing perspective, you do it for everybody. If you have an apartment building and two people qualified to be in your place, they met sent all the paperwork, they can afford it based on your criteria. If they kill each other, is that your fault?
No.
Okay, so the rooms are the apartments. So if they kill each other, is that your fault?
Well, I was thinking of it because of the common space that they're sharing and stuff like that.
They share common space in apartments too. There's the laundry, there's the hallway, there's the steps. So I'm gonna ask you again, do you really think that's your fault?
No, it's
Yeah,
not my
that's
fault.
not your, dude, that's not your fault. That's not your worry. Trust me on that one. That one's not your worry. And then, but then things happen. Somebody could say it's your fault. So you need good insurance, and that's what Bill's for. He's sitting back there. That's what he does. This is what he does. He knows all about this stuff. Okay. So we're talking about co-living. Oh, I didn't see it. I'm so sorry.
Just briefly,
My apologies.
no problem. Could you elaborate a little bit on the subscription idea?
Yes, absolutely. So we were talking about a model for how you get these people leased, and we talked about the lease, and I'm not a fan, but you might choose to do that. We talked about a residential rental agreement, which is used more for licensed facilities. You'll see it at the state if you go to Recovery of Ohio or you go to OMAS, which is Ohio Mental Health and Disability. They'll talk, or developmental disabilities, they'll talk about a license agreement, and they'll even give you like samples of it. So more licensed facilities use it than not. But the residential agreement does work in Ohio. Check with your attorney, but it does, I have. But, so the biggest shared housing or co-living conglomerate in the US is Pad Split. You guys heard of Pad Split before? Yeah, so they use a subscription model. And the reason they use a subscription model is because sometimes you run into zoning issues for the number of unrelated people in a house, which we'll touch on in a little while. But they use that model because basically what they're saying is, I pay a subscription fee, whatever it is, $3, $5, however many dollars it is, and you are a member of this facility, of this organization. So you have the right to use these things. So when it does on that number of people in the home, and when you violate, they just revoke your subscription. It's just like the gym. You belong in the gym, they revoke your subscription, you can't come back. So that's the premise that they use it on, and it works very well for them. They're a giant. I'm a mom and pop. I don't want to track subscriptions. Like, I don't have a setup for that, but I see how it could work very well. I'm just not equipped to do that, and so I don't have a setup for it. But I think it's very smart. Yeah.
So I know you try to get through this all.
Oh, don't worry about it.
I know you were talking about the residential rental agreement, the
Yes.
subscription model, and the lease, of course. But you said on the residential agreement, residential rental agreement, you just call the cops and they're trespassing, but, you know, I have people, squatters that come in all the time, they just say, well, I live here, and the cops show up and they just say, oh, sorry, gotta evict them,
Really?
all the time.
So well, that's really interesting. So one of the things that I do when I go into a neighborhood is not only am I going to the local community meeting, because I'm not hiding who I am or what I do or my houses. Okay, I want my house to be the cutest on the block. It's going to be well manicured. They're going to know what I am, what I'm doing for the community and for the people. And I also visit the police station. Have you done that yet?
No.
Okay, and the only reason I ask is because if you make yourself known to them, so the cops have had to come to my place several times. I've had some incidents, believe me, I've had some, but oh, that's that Tiffany lady, blah, 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 blah. Okay, sir, what's going on here? And then they start to advocate on your behalf. I've had some to say, well, we can't, I don't want to get into it, I can't. And then you'll have the other cop that's the partner going, yeah, I'm not sure if that's right. And then you have your guys behind you going, yeah, dude, you gotta leave. And they'll see that it's ensuing. So what happens typically is they kind of prompt them to, yeah, it might not be the most safe environment for you. And they end up leaving. I only had one guy that tried me on that, and it ended badly for him because he ended up having a temporary restraining order because I filed it against him. Because he was a menace to the whole building, and so he had to leave. But I don't think that that's the reason not to do it, because again, 5 years, almost 6 years, at the August 17th will be 6 years that I've been doing this, and I've only had to file one eviction. It didn't even go all the way through. The guy left, just one. But when I sit down to have my signing of my agreement, I'm talking to these people and I'm telling them, here's the rules. Are you going to abide by them or not? And you understand that it's criminal trespassing. And it's easy. You have your phone at your fingertips. You can show somebody that, hey, this is a rooming home and here are the rules. It's kind of like a hotel. If you don't pay your bill, they lock the door and you don't go back to your room. So it's kind of the same premise, and it will take some education on your behalf with the officers and the bailiffs, and I don't know if he's still here, but I would imagine that they would say, well, you need to evict because they have tenant rights. Do they have tenant rights at a hotel, like if they don't pay? Really? So I'm saying I'm not gonna challenge them, but I'm gonna challenge them in a respectful way, and I definitely am gonna garner the resources to sway towards me. So I want them to know who I am and what I do. And they're gonna say, oh, this is Miss Tiffany. She does a good thing for this community. Guys, you can't be messing this up. We're gonna need you to leave. And that has happened for me too. So don't be scared of that part. Yeah. So we were talking about needing to find a place. So if you're really, really, I don't want to call it lazy for lack of a better term, but it's not coming to me right now, and you just want to find a house, they have sites out here now. This guy's right here just shows you how much people are thinking about this as a business. You can find a house for a group home, co-living, corporate rental business. There's sites out here for this. You don't have to go look for it. You can partner with somebody. Thought that was interesting. So just wanted to share with you some of the best places to get started. We are not one of those places in Ohio, but that's okay. I'm going to do my thing anyway, and don't let that scare you. But there are a lot of places that are thinking about shared housing, so I just thought that was an interesting tidbit of information. We're just going to go past that. I want to bring you to another slide. This is Montgomery. So we've talked about rent by the room. We've talked about co-living. We've talked about student housing. Heard another question or a response out there about something else. Well, remember we were talking about those things you didn't want to do in real estate? Oh, I'm going to do a fix and flip. Oh, that was me. This was my fix and flip. How long did it take? Oh, I don't even remember. It probably was 11, 12, 13 a year. I don't know how many months. It took me way too long, right? I tried to do it from out of state. Oh, I'm really good. I've been doing this a long time. I'm going to live down there in that state, and I'm going to fix and flip up here. And people are going to do what they're supposed to do. Right? Wrong. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. I had squatters in this house, too. Came back on the weekend to see what was going on. Went to the door, and I was like, oh, my God, somebody's stuff in here. I know they're not supposed to be. They were in there, but they weren't there, so I just put all their stuff out, so I didn't have to call anybody. But I found this house to fix and flip. And yes, I bought it during COVID, and I was out of town, well, anyway, long story short, I put a decent rehab on it. I was gonna fix it, flip it. I listed it according to all the stuff they teach you, right? The ARV and all that stuff. And guess what happened, y'all? It didn't sell. Yeah, so I was like, okay, what the heck am I gonna do with this house? So at least I need to get out of my hard money, right? So I refinanced it, because you can do that. And so I pulled some cash out so I could lick my wound to make me feel a little better. And so the current ARV is $300,000 because I still have a house. This is what it looked like when I bought it. Well, thanks. But look at the ugly house next to it, and then there was an uglier house next to it over there. And I didn't think about all the ugly houses when I tried to sell it for $203,000. It just didn't work. But that's okay. So I did a moderate rehab. It was a rental rehab, but it was nice. And for the neighborhood, I was like, this will fly because it's got some custom stuff in it or whatever. So living room, dining room, kitchen. So I love kitchens, right? So I was like, okay, that's what they tell you. Make the kitchen beautiful. Okay, so the kitchen's nice. We went to Home Depot. They sketched us out what to do, this, that, and we did all that stuff. Rearranged it, as you can see, it's not the same place or whatever. So this is the rest of the house upstairs, made it loft style. That's the little house. We did some stuff afterwards, but that's the last picture that we have of whatever, finished house. So what did I do with the house? I made it a group home. This is a licensed group home with the state of Ohio, it's OMAS. And it's got 5 residents, and that's me in the picture with my guys, and we do fun stuff sometimes. But, and those are the actual numbers. But as you see down at the bottom, I actually have numbers for payroll. So I have payroll of 2 people. I have a house manager and myself, and we split our 19 hours. We're required by the state of Ohio to be in there 19 hours per week. We split that, she and I do, and we pay ourselves for doing that. And even after paying ourselves for payroll, I still have $1,100 left on this particular house. This is a house that I acquired. And remember, we were talking about profits and income and profits in wealth building because of equity. This is a great example of that. So I earn money, I've got profits and reserves, and I'm paying down a mortgage, so it's a triple threat right here. I see a question, yes, sir.
So this a little off track here. But
That's okay, go for
does the employee there mess up a solo 401k plan for you?
For me, well, so my business structure is a little different. In this particular business model, this home itself is Healing Touch Center of Cincinnati. That's it. It's an LLC, we're a partner in that, and that's the business model. I actually have an acquisition, which is Ray of Hope Realty Services, and then in my other business, it is divided. So it doesn't, because from a business perspective, this is just one business that I do. So the answer is, it depends. I'm back to it depends again. It depends on how you set up your business. There's so many ways to do this, and I suggest you guys talk to a CPA, because ultimately for me, what is gonna happen, I'll probably end up being some type of corporation, an S corp or whatever, because I wanna do SBA, but right now I'm set up in LLCs, and I divide it so that it's arm's length transaction, I don't pierce the veil, and because this is a sensitive business, if somebody does decide to sue me, then they're suing this arm or my management company arm for the other businesses, and not my arm that actually is the acquisition for the properties. Does that make sense? Okay, I have a question back here.
Does that have to be licensed then?
This is licensed.
It is licensed?
Yes ma'am, this is OMAS. This is licensed by the state of Ohio, so my funding actually comes from the state of Ohio
Okay.
on a monthly basis. That's right, so you'll see right there, Healing Touch Center of Cincinnati, Ohio, licensed Tiffani Ray homeowner operator. So it is a licensed facility, and I have 2 of those with another one on the way with developmental disability. That is one of the natural progressions in this business that I said is scalable. So we talked about going from by the room to moving to group homes. When I said this business is scalable, this is an example of that. Yes, ma'am, your question.
So, given this one, is the OMA set the rent?
They do.
They do. So
They do.
because it seems high. Someone could afford 1,600.
It does. So when you think about affordable, and so at the beginning of my conversation, I said homes are affordable and they're attainable. So this is for a special population of individuals. So you have to have a mental health, alcohol, behavioral, or some type of diagnosis in order to reside in the home. Now, I guess I could put regular boarders in the home, but it doesn't make any sense when the base rent from the state of Ohio is $1,600. Now, we decided to do class 2 because it is the lower level of them, but they have higher levels. Some of these beds garner the $3,000, $3,500, but it depends on the time and effort that you want to put into that. That's just not where I want to spend my time. Somebody else had a question back there?
My question is for student housing. I think I lived in a group home once, and I shared it with some ladies. My question is, for like student housing, would you have all males in there, all females in there? Like you want, you know, I mean, you want.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Okay, so I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna say it depends on this one, okay? This is what I'm gonna say, simply put, because we're all adults here. If you put a rooster in the hen house, things are going to happen. So, you decide if you want to mingle that together or not. Me, it's male or female, period. That's it. I do not. Even in dormitories, they separate them by floor. So, dude, if you want to put them all in the same house, you go for that. I'm not having none of that. No is the answer. You can, no, I'm just joking. It depends. No, you can do, it's your house, your rules. You can do whatever it is that you want. As for me, never gonna happen. I have a hard enough time not to get them to visit each other, let alone live together. I can't imagine what that would be like. One guy and 4 girls. You would like that, wouldn't you? I'm just telling you. I don't think it would be. So what happens is, it could be considered discriminatory. However, it is a safety rule. So fair housing says if you do not have the ability to perform your business, then it's not discrimination. So somebody surely is gonna ask me about a pet here. Somebody's surely gonna ask me about an ESA, and I'm gonna tell you, no pets. I don't have any pets, and I mean none, not even goldfish, no pets. So I'm running a shared living, not a zoo. So if everybody, 5 people, had a pet, I'd have 2 dogs, 2 cats, 5 fish. No, not happening. It impedes your ability to be able to run your business. So maybe Anna's scared of dogs. So why would I let you stay there with your dog and then everybody else is afraid of a dog or allergic, right? So it'll impede your ability. For you, doing co-ed could be a safety perspective because you, as the owner, could not guarantee the safety of the person that was, so maybe it was opposite. Maybe it was all guys and there was a female that, oh, you know, I've been around guys, I'm a tomboy, it doesn't matter, whatever. Could you sleep well at night? Could you guarantee that somebody might not, it's just not a good thing from a safety and soundness perspective, so it would impede your ability to do your job. But some people might be okay with that, and they might try it. And here's the other piece of it. If you don't like it, you can change it. Just don't do that anymore. Get another house and put the girls over there and put the guys over there, and then you're done. Yes, sir, what's your question?
How do you get around the service animal?
That's what I just explained. So, no, let me say it again. If you're allergic to a dog and you have and you live there, would it be okay if I brought a dog in for you? No, I'm asking you. It's not, so I'm with you. But what I'm saying to you is that it impedes your ability to be able to run your business. I can't allow one animal if 4 other people are allergic or scared. But what if your dog was a service animal? And that's okay, it is. But when you come to the hotel, do they allow your service animal? I'm just asking you. You have to pay extra for them? No, they don't even do that. They allow pets, but they'll allow service animals only in certain places. What I've stood on and what I've spoken to people at Fair Housing is, how do I make this fair? If I have 5 people in a home, only 1 person has an animal, 3 other people don't want the animals, am I supposed to move the 3 people out so that the 1 person can say, no? And so I don't allow it. And that's been a sticky point with me. Somebody has called Fair Housing on me about that, and I'm okay with that because I can explain it, and when I do, I've never had any issues with them going further, like, well, we're gonna take you to court, or I've not had that, and I've spoken directly to Fair Housing because people said that it was discriminatory. Now, what we did for the lady was find an organization called Found House in Cincinnati that was able to take her dog, and she was a transitional person, and she was able to, she was transitional from domestic abuse. and we had a room for her, and she was able to put her dog in this program, and so she could go visit it, and those things, and it worked out for her. And when she got herself situated and she was ready to move, she was able to go back and get her. I love dogs, I really do, and I would really feel for somebody to be torn from their animal. I really do understand that, but I can't allow that to impede my ability to conduct my business.
Yeah, I have a question, and to piggyback on his, but the ESA, the rule is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because they can get those ESA after they move in. It's not in the story that you just shared, that she just had an animal.
Mhm.
But what they do is they move into our properties that we say, no pets.
That's right.
And then 6 months down the line, they got this ESA.
Dealt with that.
Like, oh, so how are you handling that in a situation in shared housing?
Not in shared housing.
How are you handling it?
No. If you don't bring a home, you don't bring a pet to the home. If you bring the pet to the home, you violated that. You leave.
Right, so we all understand that, right? Because it's against our rules. But the question is, what do you do? Because you can't tell them, they have to go through the process to get the ESA dog, right? To get that process. But once they get that, how are you handling that? Because you can't just say you gotta get out.
Yes, you can. What I'm saying, hear me. I have rentals. I have rentals, and it's a group home. So that the rules for group homes are they're different. It's not like a regular apartment. Somebody did that to us. Me too, same thing, shit, rent by the room. So you have a rent by the room structure. You're sharing a common space with other people. So when you bring in, you do your intake, and you ask them specifically about the pets. Do you have a pet? Do you mind a pet? Do all these things about pets, because surely somebody's going to try to get an ESA. I had a lady that tried to do that, and she brought her dog there for 2 days, and she left with her dog, because you're affecting everybody else around you. It's not your own private place. No. She violated. I had a talk with her and I asked her to leave. I don't like to evict people. I don't want that on their record. That's really not what I'm trying to do. We actually found a place for her to go with her dog, much like the other lady who the found house. Oh yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. I'm not trying to be mean landlord. I appreciate and understand, but what you can't do is it was what you want to do. Right, exactly. So let me put it to you like this. You have a dog and your room is room 1, right? But you have to go through the living room, you have to go through the dining room, you have to take them out. Nobody else in the house wants a dog. So you just impose your will on 5 other people in a common space. Apartment buildings, they don't share common space. They only just go out of the hallway and they go outside. They're not living with other people. Yes, ma'am.
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
You have to have the microphone, and I'm over here, and she has a very
Well,
interesting.
I didn't see. I'm sorry. This way.
Now, on the shared, housing, can you do like, would you suggest not doing like couples?
Oh, no. I think that's a wonderful idea. So everybody, listen, guys, don't get stuck on the type of house, because people might allow 2 folks per room. Maybe it's a husband and wife, maybe it's just partners. I like 1 person in a room. I know people that do this business and they have 2 people in a room. Now, I don't, it is a much more profitable business with 2 people in a room. But I think that people need to be able to shut their door and have a place to go be in their own space. So you can decide your rules if you want. If you want to allow couples and you feel like the room is big enough for that, then allow couples. I mean, you can do this any way you want. It could be Golden Girls. It could be a man pad. It could be veterans. It could be re-entry. We were going to just talk about the type of the population. You could just specialize in LGBTQIA. We have 1 person in our Corey group, and that's all she does. Everybody in her house is LGBTQ, and that you can make it be whatever your heart desire. Again, your house, your rules. That's right, and I'm gonna keep going back to that, because I think people just keep putting these limiting beliefs on how you structure the home. Right, and I know you're stuck on that ESA thing, I'm telling you.
I am,
It's-
and because I do have a relationship with fair housing.
Me too. Me too. You should talk to them. I got a person here and then a person here, but you should go have a conversation with them. This is what I'm doing, and look at that section that says in the fair housing, that says if it's, you change your mind on your question?
I answered
Her, oh, okay. If you have, if somebody is impeding you from running your business, you do not have to allow them to have that animal. But not just, we're not talking about animals. If it impedes you from doing your business, you don't have to allow it. To me, the animal is the impediment. So I'm sticking to that for my defense, and for me that has worked. But again, I have a relationship with fair housing, and they know that it is a group home or a shared living. It's not even group home. They definitely can't have any pets, but they know that it's a shared living facility or rent by the room.
Can I give an example?
Sure.
So as a landlord, if someone brings a pet into your property and you don't allow pets, and they get qualified as an ESA, then at the end of the lease, you don't renew the lease.
right.
So that eliminates you from having any problems with discriminatory, age discriminatory, or medical.
Absolutely.
Just don't renew the lease, and that'll alleviate home out of the situation.
Oh, and that absolutely does work. And then you have to remember, these residential rental agreements that you're using, license agreements that you're using, they're month to month. And in some cases, they're week to week. My reentry guys that just come home from, they've been in the justice system, they're actually week to week because they don't, their jobs don't allow them, or they don't have their footing underneath them to be able to pay a whole month's rent. So there are a segment of guys that I have in my house. So I have one home that is just for a reentry gentlemen that are sex offenders, and because they need a certain place to stay, and they're getting jobs. Some of them have Social Security or Social Security disability, and I'm cool with that, and some of them do not. So on Friday, their rent is due, and on Saturday, they know, if you don't pay me, then I'm coming to see about it. But they might need it. So to your point, the lease, or to his point, and I'm gonna call it lease because that's what's embedded in our heads, the agreement is month to month. So after the month, then you have the ability to leave, and they have the ability to leave. So that's a wonderful point. And sometimes they're week to week, and that does get you around it, all the way around it. It's a non-renewal of the lease, or violation of whatever, or just because you don't want to. At will is for Ohio. Good point. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
We've been able to use National's link too on petscreening.com.
Oh, yeah.
So quite often, you're even a little vague about this ESA, and so are they. They come up with all kinds of things. We find by just presenting to everybody with their lease, just like the lead agreement, is petscreening.com. They QR code it, they go through the funnel system, and unless they go through the funnel system, we don't accept them as part of their application.
I love that, Mr. Landlord. We actually, for our regular rentals, we actually do that. You definitely could make it a thing. So it's not a non-negotiable for me with the pets, because like I said, I've got that relationship, and I haven't had an issue with it. But if I do, to your point, Ms. Anna, I absolutely will do that. These are just some of the profiles of the residents that you make. It is free. You're absolutely right. So there's no reason why not, right? It will cut out some of the minutia about people talking about their pet is qualified when they're really not. So I don't want you to get stuck on that. Okay. So all those things that we talked about, criminal background, SO, poor work history, second chances, some of my stuff is second chances. I have people that have had evictions, people that make below the 2 times, 3 times the rent, because I'm not qualifying them that way for rent by the room. Because look, if you make $14 an hour, $10 an hour, then you're not qualifying for rent, guys. I mean, so it's kind of, doesn't go with what it is that we're trying to stand up here. So I don't even, but I do qualify them with income of some. My favorite are the ones from the government or Social Security disability. They get their check at the beginning. I make them get a payee if they're not good with managing their funds. Check comes to me at the beginning, usually ACH, yay, not some states still send checks, but that's okay. They still mail them, like, I'm just getting them from the first of the month, but that's okay, you know they're coming, right? You follow up on them, but these are the people that will come to you. These are the places that you will test your market. So I always tell people, proof of concept is a real thing. So if you're trying to decide whether or not this is something that will fit in your area, then you want to do a proof of concept. Proof of concept just means will it work? So you're not lying. If you put out an ad, you're gonna say coming soon, and then your descriptive services for your vital room or your group home or whatever. And you'll be able to garner whether or not there's an appetite for it in your area. These are some of the places that you can list. Zillow is the one that I like the best, but all of these works. You can try on all of them, right? Because they give you like 14-day free trial. It's free, so just try it.
Leave it different. Oh, back it up.
How do you set your rent prices? Well, it depends. So we're not talking about group homes where the price is set by the government, and there are also caps on some place, like for recovery housing, for example, by the room, they cap the bed at $850. Now you might not charge $850 because you want to fill your house, but there are caps when it comes to license. But for me, the easiest way for me to decide, I didn't know how to do it, but you can look for a studio, a hotel in your area, and you can try to decide what the rent will be. If it's a 1-bedroom, you want to be slightly less than that. And it also depends on whether you're in a B or a C class or a D class neighborhood, and this does work very well in these depending on the population that you service. For example, those re-entry folks. And then you do your proof of concept here to see whether or not it's going to work, and you garner traction. People will call you, or people will, respond to your ad, and then you get a little bit of traction. They might say, "Oh, too much," or "Oh, I can afford that." So you're going to kind of be able to gauge, and you can just do a search. Share housing. I mean, it's a thing now. Rent out a room, and some of the prices will even come up in your own very area. Yeah.
Wait. Richard, I'm getting the work up today.
She's getting her steps in.
Curiosity, when you're doing your interviews with tenants to decide, okay, you get your criteria set up as to what, as to the basics. Okay, these are the basic criteria. Then you do your interview. You got to really look at the person.
Yep.
What are the things that you look for? I can probably mention what type of learning and so forth. But what are some of the things you look for in making that decision as to whether or not they're going to fit, not only with your criteria and the way you do things. Yeah, okay, there we go.
All right.
Can you send us that?
I always send you the whole deck. It's not.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's not super secret. It's not super
secret
to me. I love to share it because I'm hoping everybody decides to rock with me. I'm trying to pull all of you guys from regular rentals on over to the wild side of share housing. Then that's my goal. That's why I'm here. So no, I'm happy to share my information. It's not hostage. Yeah, but the important thing is, so when I first started this, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so your biggest fear is, oh my God, I'm gonna have to pay for this out of pocket. My house is not income producing, right? And I just had this thing that was called BB, and it was like butt in bed. So as soon as the kitchen was done, as soon as the bathroom was done in the bedroom, I stuck a butt in the bed. So I got one person in there, so that reduced, I know, right? It sounds great, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So I ended up with all these different people in the house. I was like, oh my God, I got an old man in here that he did 41 years, he don't even know what a phone is, and then this young kid playing the music and trying to tell him to do everything on TikTok. It didn't work. I'm just trying to tell you, it didn't work. I tried it. It wasn't good. Would it, Dr. Seuss, this is not good, this is not right, it was not right. So you know what I did? I got another house, and I put the old guy in the house, so he knew my rules and my ways and how I set up my stuff. And then I found another old guy to go with the old guy. And then the younger guy stayed there, and when he didn't like it there anymore, guess what I did? I got another house. And then I put him in there. So now anytime I get a new house, I take one of the people from my existing houses to stabilize my new house because they know and they speak Miss Tiffany, right? So then I don't have to, yes. And that's how this works. But to your point, you want kind of like people, if you're gonna do it right from the beginning, and you're not worried about the income and just put the bodies in the beds, put the beds, you're right, okay. Then you kind of want really, really, really good house rules, but you really want like people. You know what I mean? If some people are introverts, then you don't put them with a house full of extroverts. They don't want somebody just asking them questions all day. They just want to be left the heck alone, right? So leave them alone. But you have to interview people to know that. And you're kind of going to be all up in their business asking a question. So for that very reason, you might need a release form because some people will come with concerns and issues and things that you didn't think about. But to that point, you do want to kind of put like people in the place together, right? But if you don't, it's okay. Get a new house and fill that one too. This is what I did. I don't know if that's a strategy, but it became mine and it worked. So just saying. Hold on. Where were we?
Yes, so just to follow up on it, so we had some other questions that we normally ask. You know, in addition to the factual questions, sometimes we ask questions to bring out thought processes about how they live, you know, and so forth and so on. I don't know if you have anything like that, you know, just to bring out some of their, something beyond just the facts, or the things like that that you ask.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We ask that for our regular test, and I'm just curious if there's something different.
All kinds of questions. You can ask them, what do they do for fun? Because I have one guy who likes to plant a garden, and so we did that, and that worked for a little while. You can ask them, I mean, any a myriad of things that tell me something about you that I didn't know, like in reverse investigation, right? Tell me something about you I don't know. It's like kind of like an interview for a job. You want to, again, put the best person in the situation to succeed in your home because you don't want a lot of turnover. And I probably, I'm full and I've got, I don't know, I think we counted, I don't know if it's 9, 10 homes, I can't remember, but it's 71 beds and I have a waiting list. I send people to other people. So, I mean, you want to put right people in the right bed, and then if you don't put them in the right one, get another house and fill that one too. Yes, ma'am.
So you were mentioning that some of the ways to help people in the community is like homeless people.
Yep.
So how do they fund?
Yep.
How do they get funded?
So we could talk about that for a second. So I will tell you, you would be surprised at the number of people that are homeless that have income. Just do not discount the fact that just because they're under a bridge that they ain't got no money. They usually do. And then if they don't, then you, in services in your area, you set them up with somebody that helps them apply for Social Security or Social Security disability. Now, in the meantime, they might not be able to stay at your house. Maybe you're connected with a shelter, and maybe the shelter is who's feeding your people or your halfway house as they get their disability or their Social Security, and they need to transition out of living in a cot with all the peoples into their own room or their partner, because you do too a room, then they're actually feeding your house. Shelters call me all the time. Parole officers call me all the time. I don't have to do any more marketing. I've been to so many meetings and people, and they know this is who I am, this is what I do, that they call me on the phone. I mean, my husband can attest all day long that I need a room, I need a room, I need a room, all day. I even get letters from people from jail. I get out in 2026. Can I get a room? I'm like, dude, with the call me later. But it happens when your name gets out there.
So like you can partner with
community
mental health centers, but for those you would have to be licensed?
No, you don't have to be licensed.
Okay.
Let me tell you, we have wraparound services for our guys, and this came later on after just putting the body in the bed, because you find that people are they have food insecurity. So the biggest issue that you probably will have in your home, other than if you don't have visitors, is somebody stealing somebody's food. And I think that that's a crying shame, because yes, somebody's gonna get very mad. And at first, when somebody stole, thievery, it was a reason to leave. However, after you think about it, if somebody is hungry, and could you imagine, just go on a fast for 3 or 4 days and see how you feel. And oh, Miss Tiffany, all I did was take their ramen noodles, or all I did was take their can of soup. Yeah, it might cost 85 cents, but you, instead of going to knock on the door and ask you, but it's a embarrassment, it's a level of pride that comes with that. So somebody said, I think it was Miss Anna, that said that you guys work with the food bank. Yeah, we have food bank, they drop boxes off to our guys. We've signed them up, and even sometimes we might even give them a ride down there to get a box, and then they put that stuff in the central area where everybody, so I got 3 or 4 guys in my truck, they all get 20, 40 pounds worth of groceries, so my truck is full. They bring it all back, they put it in the common area, and everybody has something to eat. So understand the person and what's going on with them, and then kind of craft your rules around some of that. So I had to say that, and I know that's kind of a little bit off, but we were talking about wraparound services. We have a dental truck that comes and they do dental cleanings. Now, not all the guys will go, I swear, you can look at their smile and know they need to, but they won't. But it's okay. If you keep doing it, people will catch on. We have a phone guy, and he comes once every 3 months. So because mysteriously people will lose their phone, that I think they're selling them. I don't know what's happening with the phones, right? So he comes and he helps them get a phone so that they have a way to communicate. But it's not anything we charge for. They just come because we ask them to come. So there are a whole lot, to your point, there's a whole lot of things that you can do after you get established and your rent is being paid that you can actually do for wraparound services to help these guys out. Down to clothing vouchers and furniture vouchers too.
Thank you for mentioning the food bank. The CEO has come, he's arrived.
There it is. Hi.
Hi, I'm James Caldwell. I represent the Toledo Northwestern Ohio Food Bank, which is the Feeding America Food Bank here in Northwest Ohio. In Cincinnati, it's Free Store Food Bank. They are a partner food bank. If you have some tenants or associates that you're dealing with that need services, you can call us at 419-242-5000. We don't do, as a rule, direct distributions to individuals, but we have a pantry network here in the 8 counties that we serve that does. We have some special senior programs in North Toledo that we fund, and there we do direct distributions on a monthly basis. But again, you can call that number 419-242-5000. Ask for Bernice Tony. She's in charge of agency relations, and she has all of the infrastructure available to certainly link those folks who are needy to food resources in the 8 counties that we serve. Okay? That's it.
That's all. And so thank you for what it is that you guys do. And so yeah, the Free Store is Cincinnati's, and that's actually who I am connected with. And I talk to those ladies down there probably on a monthly basis to make sure that my guys continue to have something to eat. And the produce and the food is actually delivered is for our senior guys that are there, but the other guys, and sometimes they don't drive. And all of my places are near bus, but on occasion, you get those boxes and all that stuff. If I'm not busy, then I will give them a ride, and we come back with food and fill the pantry, and they have stuff to eat. So, and that makes you be able to sleep a little bit better at night. Yes, sir, your question.
So I'm considering this property by the university, and I think it's got 4 bedrooms, and I'm wondering whether I should do shared housing, if I get it. Should I do shared housing, or should I just get a family in there that's not gonna take up all, because it is more effort to do this that you're talking about.
I don't disagree.
But it's also more financially rewarding, right? You can charge more per room, you get more per the house, but you put more effort into it, and maybe they only stay a year. Maybe they don't. For students, if it's student housing, they might only stay a year instead of like 8 years, which is what you really want. But I'm just trying to say, why would I consider shared housing over a regular tenant in your view?
Aside from, so let's, the dollars aside.
Well, it
Well, I can't include the dollars, because if we do that, then there's no more conversation. But, absolutely, most definitely. So what would you get, not student housing, because student housing is a form of shared housing. So let's just go to your regular 4-bedroom, what is that rent for here? About? Okay, so 2 rooms, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get almost $1,400 for 2 rooms. One room is going to be probably your bill. 2 rooms is gonna pay for your house and all the other stuff. 2 rooms is gonna be your profit. So again, back to the original slide, you're making $300 or $500 per house maybe. And if they leave, then they're gone. Right, but if I've got 4 rooms, nobody's leaving at the same time. Where I always have income coming in that property. Even if it's 75%, my KPI, one of my key performance indicators says that I need to have 85% occupancy. I don't know, literally, when somebody leaves, I'm feverishly trying to turn that room over, because in 2 or 3 days, I've got somebody else in that other room, because I've built that up for myself. You don't have any downtime. That's the beauty of it by itself. So the income and so continued cash flow, higher cash flow, and you're doing a service to society. Now, this gentleman said that it sounds like more effort. It is, depending on the population you service. You get a good house, you're not there but once a month, like you should probably be in your other houses, because I want to make sure my filters change, I want to make sure my cameras are pointing in the right place, I want to make sure you get a good house, you get a person in there that thinks that their home is theirs. I have a few guys that are like that. They'll regulate for you, and they'll call you. Hey, Miss Tiffany, such and such and such and such. You send out mass text, problem solved. You might not see that house that month. So I think it depends on it. You don't have to be there every day. That's not a requirement. It's not a group home if you're talking about shared housing. Yes, ma'am.
Wait a second.
And how much time do I have? So I'm looking at time check. The clock says 8:54, and I don't want to detain anybody past it. And I don't even know how many stuff I have. Just a couple of good stuff. Yeah, man, we'll go through a quick, really quick. Okay, go ahead.
My question is quick, I think.
That's okay.
So, safety. Safety's big for me, having been a first responder, nurse, all that good stuff. So, do you have cameras in all the common areas? I know you can't put them in the bathrooms and in the rooms, I wouldn't think, but do you have them in the common areas to kind of?
I have cameras everywhere.
Okay.
Except for the bathrooms and the bedrooms. Entry doors, basically, kitchen, mostly. Safety's a big thing for you, safety's a big thing for me too. So let's skip to the safety. So I'm by myself most of the time. My husband does some stuff, he rides with me sometimes, but this is what I'll find out, and I'll say this to your ladies, he's not gonna like this because he's sitting over here, but I'm gonna say it. Most of the people that are in my home are guys. So when a guy sometimes sees another guy coming, then they posture, because that's what y'all do, right? Okay. When they see a lady coming, yeah, as long as you're not one that's easily intimidated, then they kind of don't posture. So it's, okay, Miss Tiffany, okay. So they kind of do it. I mean, you have one or two that may not. So sometimes he'll ride with me and I'll make him stay in the car, because I don't want somebody to be like, what you doing here? No, they see me first. And then, if I need positive reinforcements, I get them. But I'm always geared up. And so what you see right here is because I look at my houses by myself when I go sometimes and look at them. This is a 3-in-1. And I like this puppy because it's a stun gun and a flashlight in the back, all in one. I am serious about it when I go, because some of my guys are 6'5" and weigh about 200 and some odd pounds. And when I look at them, I'm going, hey, did you such and such, so I'm not threatening anybody, but I am absolutely prepared because I am a female. I wear, they're dirty, but they're mine. I wear steel toe boots. My gear is tactical for the most part. If I wore these out, well, I wouldn't wear white, but if my ankles were showing, my husband said, your ankles showing, so we can kick you in the ankles. So, but I wear steel toe boots. And this is my newest thing. And I'm putting it into commission, and it's a body cam, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because he said, she said is a thing, and you can't always pull your phone out and record. But if you got that on, there ain't no conversation to be had. It's all on camera. Now, granted, it's on your camera in your home, but sometimes those are spotty. So this is your positive reinforcement. So when you talk about safety, it's not only safety for the people and the residents in the house and the property itself, but it's safety for yourself as a home operator, okay? Now, talking about safety, and now I'm skipping all over the place because I'm gonna be respectful of time. Things happen that are good and things happen that are bad. I'm calling this man on fire. Man on fire is bad. So he was in our house and he set his shirt on fire and put the shirt on himself. And then the fire people came and yeah, so it's not all good. So I would stand up here and say, oh my God, shared housing is great. You all should do it. There's nothing that ever happens bad. That's not the truth. It's not. I'm not going to even pretend. But then it's good stuff like this. So you guys know it's been hella hot this summer, right? Well, we had one of my floors, the electricity, the what do you call it, air conditioner went off. So I went to Home Depot. As you can see at the bottom, those are box fans. I bought box fans in the middle of the night for all the guys. And then I bought a big bucket of water and put ice in it and took it to the guys. And this is what you do to go above and beyond for the guys that you do. So, I mean, there's good stuff to this and things that we would normally not do as a landlord, because you might not do that in your regular tenant home. You'd be like, dang, my lights are out too, that sucks. But for this, guys, if you have a house that's it's not licensed, but it's registered for 12 people, you have 12 people in the building, and it's 90 degrees, then you do something extra. Okay, so where are we? That was about cooling systems. Same thing right here. We have lights out. We have lights out because of a storm. So, and this one was just back in September 24. And so I went to Home Depot again, and you see the time, it says the 10 p.m. This one right here, 9:56 p.m. I went and bought a flashlight so that they can have flashlights, and then we hung other safety lights in. And so they hit me on my Facebook. Yup, night Miss Tiffany, you the best landlord, 2024, true shit. That was for one of my guys that posted on my, so it's good stuff. Go ahead, I'll see somebody right here.
Just forgot my question.
That's okay. We're gonna magically give it back to you. It's coming back to you, it's coming back. And then sometimes, like you were saying, did you get it? Okay.
How about, do you have any barter?
Say that again.
Barter. What about bartering with the tenants?
You mean like for lawn mowing and
Yeah.
stuff like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the best at it. Just ask my husband. You live there. You want the house to be great. I don't do work for rent. I just say that you have a nice house and you want pride of ownership. So come help me cut the grass. And guess what? They usually do. But no, I don't barter a lot because I think you have to have skin in the game. And I think it's rent is separate from work. So if you give them a job, make sure that your job is 100% separate from their rent. And I'm gonna say that one more time. Yes. Do not get caught doing that. If they rent is rent over here. Work is work. You establish a job description for what the work is, what the expectation is, what the hourly rate is, and what they're gonna get paid, period. No exceptions, don't do it. I'm just he's agreeing, Anna's agreeing, everybody's agreeing. So, to your point, if I could have 5 more minutes, you were talking about things for the guys. Sometimes they come from reentry or they come from the shelter and they have nothing. So you might take $10 or something, and that's just a towel, some aim, toothbrush, soap, a washcloth, things that make you feel like you have dignity, that you're a person, right? I don't want to eat out of my hand ramen noodles. I need to be able to brush my teeth. Sometimes it's a care package, it's a hygiene package. You just might want to do something like that. And I don't know what I have left. We were talking about the violation list: no cooking in the room, disrespectful, yelling, candles, incense, utility, abuse of utilities. We talked about the good already. We talked about that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And that's just having fun with the guys. these hotline numbers are something that we post. So there's the suicide line. Every county has a mobile crisis line. You need to look yours up and post it. And there's actually a trans lifeline. If you have somebody that's transgender and maybe you don't even know that they are, and they're trying to decide to come out, I post those in my house. We talked about house manager safety. We talked about getting paid, how I accept all forms of payment. If they are bad with their money, I make them go get a payee. I will not be their payee, and I don't want to be responsible for anybody's money, just pay your rent. I check in on my homes, and sometimes people send you stuff. Hey, Miss Tiffany, new guys here, it smells like pee, just to let you know. And I'm like, oh, pee. And then he says, yes, the whole upstairs. I mean, so these are texts that you get, and then you call and you address it. But then you go to one of your houses and you be like, dang, they got the house clean, it's looking good, every room is looking good, the kitchen is clean, and the bathroom is clean. So when I did my walkthrough, I took the pictures they passed on their report card. Yes.
So you let them decide, like, you guys are taking turns cleaning up, or?
I let them decide until I don't. And so the question is, do we let them decide who's cleaning up? So you want the houses to morph into their own way and rhythm of doing things. And then if they don't, then you assign chores. Just like kids. And guess what? Usually they get the picture and they step up and do what they want to. But you can lose your housing for lack of cleanliness. I have put people out for that because pest is a no-no. And you can't bring those in, no. So that's a thing for me. When I do room checks, if your room, and I come back and I do a room check and your room is, then you don't deserve to live in my home.
Aside from the co-ed that you're not co-static with, is there any populations that you're not?
Yeah, so the question is, aside from co-ed, is there any population that I do not rent to? I don't do arsonists. No, I'm serious on the background check. I don't. Some people do. That's not no. And even if you're a sex offender, with a child issue, it's not for me. There are people that will do that. I do sex offenders, but it has to be, the reason has to align with what I believe in. And if it's a child, then I don't do it. Otherwise, then I have a spot for you if you qualify otherwise. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. I think we did that already. Hold on. Measure of success, we talked about that. We talked about all of this. And then basically, I shortened this up for the end, but you guys get the vision. We're not just filling rooms, we're restoring dignity and building communities, and we're creating generational wealth with a good income. And so I know it's 9:05 and you let me stay 5 minutes after. I will stick around for a few questions, but my name is Tiffani Ray, and I love and I live and I do shared housing, and I hope you all enjoy the presentation. I have cards up here. I will give the information to Anna, and I appreciate you all sincerely for rocking with me this evening and allowing me to come into your house and talk to you about it.